unless you have very, very good reasons that have been clearly articulated to your children. If the estate plan is not equal, you will sow the seeds of psychological cancer.
Hello, I'm Dan Richards. Welcome to Money Insights. This is one of a number of conversations that I'm having today with Lee Hausner, formerly senior psychologist with the Beverly Hills School District. And Lee, I want to talk about an article that you wrote not long ago, talking about your experience on what causes discord among the children of the heirs when a family patriarch passes away. And what are the principal causes that you see?
One of the principal causes has to do with the model of leadership in the next generation. So if you had a very strong patriarch or matriarch, and the children have only seen one style of decision making, which is a very empowered, my way or the highway.
Top down, this is what
top
it's gonna
down, then they think that that's the model that they are trying to create. And so when the first generation is no longer around, we have a fight among the four surviving members of the generation two to be mom or dad.
Right. So who's going to be the boss?
Someone's got to be a boss.
Right.
And of course, the oldest born son always feels that that role has been designated to him. Number one, that role only belongs to the creator of the wealth. After that, the real leader is the person who can build consensus. So that next generation has to learn that they need a collaborative model, and they have to learn that. That's one thing. Secondly, sometimes the choices of trustee is a problem. If, in fact, you have made a sibling the trustee for the other siblings.
Built-in resentment.
Built-in resentment, because suddenly that sibling has the role of a mom or dad.
Right.
And although children will let their parents get in their face, they are not going to let a sibling get in the face.
Now, what about decisions on allocating assets or timing of assets? And you know, often I think people write them into a will, but they're reluctant to talk about them with their heirs beforehand. So the will gets read, and you know, sometimes
and the chaos breaks out.
The chaos breaks out.
Well, one of the things that I have seen in terms of estate planning, unless you have very, very good reasons that have been clearly articulated to your children, if the estate plan is not equal, you will sow the seeds of psychological cancer. And so psychological cancer, people ask me what I do, and I always say, I look for psychological cancer cells, and I try to cut them out before they metastasize. Because the next generation views the division of assets as mom loved you better than me. So unless there, and what would be good reasons for there to be an inequality? One would be someone who is significantly handicapped.
Right.
Everybody would recognize mental or physical handicap, that child is entitled to more. Now, handicap does not mean drug addiction.
Right.
Because if you've had a member that's had severe drug problems and the family has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in drug rehab, they are not going to bail out the weak child.
So you've got a guideline that you want the allocation to be equal, and so that may be your intent. But then what happens if there's a gap between what you intend and what's perceived by the recipients? How do you make sure that the intent of equal allocation is actually perceived that way by the kids and the other inheritors?
Well, you know, I don't know why it wouldn't be if it really was in fact equal. I also believe that your adult children should be very much aware of what you want in your will. You should articulate it. So there are no surprises, because part of their estate plan may be based on what you are planning to do. Now, where we often have issues are in the family business scenario. If, in fact, the asset being passed is a family business, and you have the innies and the outies, you're running the family business. So you are obtaining money for your role in the business, and I'm outside the business, and I get ownership and I don't get any dividends. There's going to be some issues here, and so there has to be a way that I can be bought out.
Right.
And that's the shared asset agreement.
And you ideally put it in paper.
You put it in paper.
Right.
How would I be able to get out of a shared asset without breaking the family relationships?
Right. Okay, Lee, thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.